And want to acknowledge Assemblyman Jake Ashby, who is here today. Great to have you, Jake. Greene County Legislator Matt Luvera is in the back. Matt has been an ardent supporter since we've had this idea. And our Film Albany Commissioner, Debbie Godecki, is here. So Debbie, there she is. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, this concept came forth in July of 2019 when Mike Lanuto, who's around here, he's hustling, there he is. Mike had this crazy idea to get together with myself and some other people who used to run the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, which was in Schenectady, New York to start, and then it went to Amsterdam, New York, and then it shifted to Texas in Wichita Falls. But we began to recognize that we needed something in the Capital District to recognize professional wrestling. Professional wrestling is more popular than any professional sport. It runs year-round. It is watched on more TVs in more countries than any other sport. So we need to recognize that professional wrestling is all over the place, and it's here. And the history of this arena and of Albany is unmatched by any other place in the entire world as far as what it means for professional wrestling. But we wouldn't be here if not for the Albany County Legislature, who on February 14th of 2021 approved the lease agreement with myself and the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. And on April 1st of this year, we were able to begin to move into this location. I can't go any further besides recognizing Mike Lanuto and his hard work, Rita Chatterton and her husband Bill, who came in and painted this entire place, and then Lori McGee Hurst, who was in Texas and who had access to a lot of the memorabilia that was being left in ruins in Texas, we began to work. So what we've had to do since this concept was hatched in July of 2019 is not just overcome a pandemic, not just induct our honorees each year and fundraise while we couldn't have any opportunity to get together. We also decided that we would try to salvage what we could from Texas and open this museum today. And I couldn't be more proud, but I'm also a little bit embarrassed because I know what we can do if we just had a little bit more, okay? But I think we've done a great job, and I'm proud for everyone to see what we have here today. I turn around, I see Nate Sims. I feel so bad. Nate represents the MVP Arena staff, and they have been absolutely wonderful. Nate, as well as Bob Belber, but Mike and I have annoyed them nonstop about every question, but we couldn't be here today if not for their hard work. So if you would give a round of applause for Nate and for the MVP Arena staff. And I'm going to turn it over now. It was his idea last year, because last year we didn't have enough just to plan for our events. But 2 days before our induction in 2021, I got a phone call, and I don't know why Dan McCoy thought this was going to be a great idea, but he said, I've got a location for you, I've got a spot in the arena, and he decided to show up at the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame induction last year and make this announcement. And so without further ado, we wouldn't be here without a true champion for us, and that's County Executive Dan McCoy.
It's all about this, right? So I do want to say this is long overdue. When we looked at doing the expansion down here and we invested all the money we did into this atrium, it was like, how can you have a concept that people will enjoy to come see and to come visit and have accommodations where you got this beautiful building? But also have an MVP on our arena here, working with AMS and Nate and Bob and everyone. The amount of sports that come through these doors, right? We just had high school wrestling, when was it? About 4 or 5 months ago? And people came from all over the state. And when I was talking about what was going here and they saw the posters, they were so excited, so excited. And to have these legends behind me on both sides, to come here to be part of this, to showcase to not just the older generation, to the new generation, to everyone in wrestling to walk through these doors. And we're highlighting like 13 wrestlers right now. We did it last year. You're doing 13 tonight, I believe, or tomorrow. Sorry, but I want to say it was a no-brainer when we talked about it. The only thing I didn't want to wrestle yet. I figured I might have a shot, but I got a bad back right now, so I can't do it today.
I didn't want to give you COVID. It was a head licking.
Yeah, but it's about honoring our past and looking into the future, and showing the younger generation with the old, like, what wrestling was all about, what it really meant, the foundation. Because before you get successful, you need that foundation. You need the pioneers. And the men and women that have been involved in this are the pioneers. And they showed the way to a lot of times enjoyment we have to escape reality. And it was a no-brainer when COVID-19 was going on. I'm like, we need light at the end of the tunnel. We need a reason to look forward to try to get out of this COVID-19. And when I was talking to my deputy, Dan Lynch, I did challenge him to a wrestling match. He's about 100 pounds lighter than me. Where is he? So when we were going back and forth about it, I go, this is a no-brainer. We have to do this. We got to make, Albany's the capital of New York State. We are a destination, but this will put us on the map with so many people nationally and internationally will want to come here. And this is only going to grow. I will say this, as long as I'm county executive, the partnership will be there. The partnership with the legislature, I do want to thank the legislators, Andrew Joyce, the chairman, to Dennis Feeney, majority leader, Frank Marinello. Everyone was on board. I don't think there's anyone that said, yeah, we can't have wrestling here. So I do want to say this is only going to grow. It's going to get bigger, and we're going to have more fun with it. So thank you to everyone that's involved, everyone that made this possible, the people that are out there. But most importantly, it's about the fans, right? Because without the fans and the people, there's no wrestling. So for the fans, please come here and enjoy downtown Albany, and you're going to enjoy what you're going to see. And trust me when I say this, it's only going to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And I've got, is the Albany City Treasurer here? Darius Shanifar? Okay. Okay, he was scared. Okay, well, I do want to, on our board of trustees, we have several professional wrestlers who help to provide guidance because myself and Mike Lanuto and some of our other board of trustees, we weren't in the business, so we surround ourselves with those who are knowledgeable. And when I say those who are knowledgeable, you might be surprised when I bring up Bushwhacker Luke, okay? Because he might have played a gimmick where he was funny and doing all sorts of obnoxious acts, but the truth is, Luke is one of the most knowledgeable individuals in the business. He's been actively wrestling for the last 7 decades and still performs to this day. He is on our board of trustees. He's been there with us since last year, so would you give a quick round of applause to Bushwhacker Luke? Come on up. You can just talk trash to McCoy.
First of all, I've got to thank Dan McCoy for setting us up with this beautiful place here. Yeah. Even though he won't get in the ring with me, we'll take that back later. Anyhow, folks, it's great to see you all here today. And this is our second year having a dinner, the anniversary, and looking forward to get bigger and better every year. And I appreciate you all to come in and short time. And anyhow, let me tell you, I've been around this business since 1962. And at that time, we never had television in New Zealand. We never had television till 78, 79. So I didn't even know about professional wrestling, never heard of it. But my second show I went to, they threw me, the guy never arrived there, and they threw me a pair of boots and a tank top. And I was in the ring, and I can't remember the match. But that's how I started, and Butch got with me in '65, and we started traveling around for Jim Barnett, who was the WCW in Australia. In 1965, he opened up, and it was a different style. We were doing British-style wrestling, which is a lot of mat work, but then I got to change to American style, and hence working through the Middle East and Japan, and finally coming to North America in '72. And I'd never thought that I would be in the pinnacle, we call it the top of the mountain, WWE Hall of Famer. And I appreciate all the fans out there, and of course, Caesar, if you know who Caesar is, Vince. But I got to thank everybody there. If it wasn't for the fans, I wouldn't be here. Seth wouldn't be here. It's wrestling. By the way, we've got one guy who's been wrestling longer than me right here in the front row, Dory Funk Jr. Now, that's a strong name in wrestling. That goes back for a long time. And the family was involved with wrestling in Japan, and Amarillo was owned by their dad, Texas, and they carried on the tradition. The Funk, Terry and Dory will never be forgotten. Anyhow, folks, thanks for coming, and I'm handing it back to Seth.
Well, Luke almost stole one of the biggest parts of our show. We're going to have one more speaker at this point, and I'm going to bring up $1 Million Man Ted Dibiasi. And the reason I brought Ted here is, although he himself is a Hall of Fame caliber wrestler who worked within this arena, I brought Ted in on a special request this year to do something selfless. And Luke started to hit upon this. We are honored today to have one of our inductees whose bronze plaque is up on the wall here with us today, and that is Dory Funk Jr., one of the greatest NWA champions of all time, and here to speak much better than I could. Let's turn it over to Ted Dibiasi.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, and it's a great honor, and I'm so pleased to see all of this. It does my heart good. But the name Funk is synonymous with pro wrestling. And for me personally, it goes all the way back to my childhood. My late father, who wrestled as Iron Mike Dibiasi, and Dory Funk Sr. are on record for the longest wrestling match in history. 3-hour and 20-minute Texas death match in Amarillo, Texas. And nobody left the building, and they were letting people in off the street. That's pretty hard to do, to hold a crowd that long, but they did it. But I have known the Funk family all of my life. I had signed a scholarship to play football at the University of Arizona. Wrestling comes on, and I hadn't seen any wrestling because I had left Texas. My father had died, and I had signed a scholarship. I was going to play football at the University of Arizona, but the Funks and wrestling were coming to Tucson, so I went to visit. And Dory's brother Terry talked me into taking a recruiting trip. He says, hey, if you already decided what you're going to do, just take the trip, it's free, and come see everybody. So I took that trip, and that's all it took. Because in the back of my mind always was not football, but my love for pro wrestling. And so I went to West Texas State, and at the end of my sophomore year, I spent the summer as a referee. Good money. So the next summer, a guy named Dick Murdoch said, hey, I'm going down to work for Bill Watts in Mid-South. Maybe you want to get your feet wet and get in the ring and put on the tights. And I did that, and I never looked back. I had 1 year of college to go, and I'd had a degree in education, but my love for wrestling consumed me. And I doubt, I regret it a little bit today, but everything seemed to work out all right. But the man I'm going to introduce to you now is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. People ask me about, what's the greatest match you ever saw, Ted? I said, I'll tell you. I watched Dory Funk Jr. and Jack Briscoe wrestle for the NWA World Heavyweight title in Amarillo, Texas. They wrestled 1 hour to a draw, and the people were standing on their feet. And I said it was the greatest wrestling match I've ever seen, and an inspiration to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, a great inspiration to me, Dory Funk Jr.
And at this time, we are going to be cutting the ribbon, ladies and gentlemen. But could I have Pete Bardunias from the Capital Region Chamber of Commerce? Pete, pleasure, glad to have you.
Likewise, thank you.
And we'll turn it over to you.
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm Pete Bardunias, Senior Vice President of Membership and Community Advancement for the Capital Region Chamber. And all I can think of is how much my mother would have loved to have been here. She's unfortunately not been with us for a long time, but she was such a huge wrestling fan. And just to see this and see the excitement and the enthusiasm and to know all of the work and dreams that really went into making this happen. That really is what's exciting. And from the chamber perspective, that's what makes us excited. Because when we go out there, a lot of times I got the easy job, right? I get to come up here, we're gonna string a ribbon and cut it, and you know, I get to brag about all the work everybody else did. But what's awesome is we get to be part of that. We get to see how all the businesses and all the various organizations interweave together in this wonderful Capital Region community that we all call home. And this is what makes this area special. And so for that reason, on behalf of the Capital Region Chamber staff, board of directors, our volunteer ambassadors, some of which we have in the back there, just want to really congratulate you all on this wonderful partnership and the work that it brought about for our community. So congratulations. With that, we are going to grab the ribbon and the scissors, and we're going to stretch it out, and we'll get this thing done.
All right, and if we could have, I'll take the scissors. And Dory and Marty, we're going to definitely want you and JJ to help with the cutting of the ribbon. But if we could have Anthony, who's one of our award winners, come on up, and any of the pro wrestlers that are here. And the one thing they want is to make sure we get this photo. So yeah, Bill.